Okay, take 3. See if I can do this without advocating Vlad the Impaler style treatment for people who do bad things in Hollywood. Trigger warning, abortion, impaling, Lucifer. This is a really dark topic. Seriously, warning you. You may want to check on something a little bit lighter. So I feel like, I was looking this up, I feel like they could put a period after the G in trafficking instead of put a period after this. In fact, you could probably leave that word right off there and just put the period here. This is the theory that, I don't know, I guess this it's an act, but it's a kind of a state of mind where this is the actual act itself, and it seems like this is a very, if you're comparing the scale of things, it doesn't seem like this should even be on the scale where the act, the evil act, the malum in se act itself, should really be the thing that we should be focusing on. And it's weird how we're not. They're spending a lot of time focusing on stopping these conspiracy theories. Oh, thank God you kicked off all the conspiracy theory people. Oh, though, there he is. There's Epstein. But it's good to know that you kicked off all the people who believe in some Q op, which is, I think it's just a Mossad op to just fool dumb people, give dumb people like a religion. It's like, find a real religion. But it's good to know that they kicked all those people off instead of focusing on people who are actually hurting people. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird what Hollywood focuses on. And by Hollywood, I just loosely mean that to include people who are on the same page with the narrative. That includes Google and all these other mainstream, Twitter and all that kind of stuff. And, another weird thing with that cabinet stuff is when that came out last year, the media jumped on that story, and the talking head pundits on Twitter, the blue checkmark idiots, they jumped on that story to disavow it instantly. They were all over it to shut it down. Even normies looked at that and they started to think, it's weird how the media went to bat on this issue. Like, you didn't have time to investigate it, but yet you made sure to jump it down, those $99,000 cabinets with somebody's name attached to it. It just seems a little weird, is all. Not that I'm saying the underlying conspiracy is true or false, but the media's response to it kind of led a little bit of credence to, when there's smoke, there's fire. And when there's people rushing to put out a little drop of smoke, and you're like, wait, it seems like the response is a wee bit disproportionate to the underlying action. Anyway, click the links, and yeah, there's a trigger warning for this very, very dark topic. Okay, so the usual suspects in Hollywood, Bette Midler, Rosanna Arquette, and a bunch of other useful idiots, who's Alyssa Milano, I think, is one of the useful idiots, who definitely are not just pure evil lizard people who drink human souls like vampires do blood. There really are monsters in the world. No beast is as terrific as a globalist with the tools to spread propaganda. A shark might accidentally kill a person every few months, which is tragic, sure, but Hollywood can control the narrative that starts wars. Weinstein, Epstein, Maria Abramovich, Giselle Maxwell, and a bunch of other filthy, filthy vermin. People see them and they think that abusing women and girls is the worst thing the Hollywood machine can do. With the sharks, they accidentally delete people because they feel you with their mouth, but unfortunately their mouths are full of razors and they're, a couple thousand pounds. So the ability to brainwash people over the years is their true power. It's tragic to small-scale abuse, but you're talking about millions and millions of people. For example, everything most people learned about the South as kids is coming from Weinstein-type degenerates. It's a lie. People believe these narratives. Then when you ask them, how do you know what you know and what would it take to disprove it, they think about it and they know it. They realize, they go, oh, I learned this belief I have because of Hollywood. It's not based in anything. It's just coming from the mind of some sick, cocaine-sniffing Hollywood filth who's probably has a catamite in his basement. That's what I know about the South. I learned it from guys like this. Like, well, then you really don't know anything. Well, you know what they want you to know. You know more about them. You don't know anything about the underlying topic. You know about their state of mind. These are the same Hollywood people. They abuse women and children. They literally control the prawn industry. These are the people who control the narrative. TV and film is amazing brainwashing. There are monsters in human form, and calling them reptiles isn't fair to reptiles. They're closer to ticks, fleas, flies, and mosquitoes. They spread the disease. Even worse, because with dangerous bugs, you know they're dangerous or dangerous things. Leaves of 3, let them be. Do not approach snakes. Oh, I'm just going to photograph this king snake. Oh, it's not a king snake. That's a rattler. Yeah, just leave all snakes alone. Leave the black widow alone. If you see coyotes or mountain lions that are playing with you or following you around preparing, you pepper spray them or you throw rocks at them. You hurt them a little bit because it teaches them to avoid humans who will have to end up shooting them to keep them away from humans. Like, pain is a really good lesson for wild animals. I just want to feed them. No, don't do that. Leave them alone. Can we slingshot? Can we do these things to globalists to teach them to keep away from us? Can we poke a rabid Weinstein with a sharp hiking pole? We can't just attack globalists in the streets and burn the studios and turn them into gardens revering Odin or Christ. We can't exactly Vlad the Impaler punishment a lot of people as a warning not to abuse children because it's illegal, I think. And Vlad the Impaler did that, which actually does stop that victim from hurting someone ever again. So, I mean, it's something to think about if you could somehow manage to get that past the 8th Amendment. Somebody posted a meme on Gab, and congratulations to Gab. More memes are flowing from Gab to 4chan than vice versa. Some physicist modeled meme flow. He calls it hate speech. Like, isn't that kind of subjective to say hate? Isn't it hate for you to constrain our speech? What if your speech is hate speech? It's like, aren't you poisoning the well before you even start the argument to label something hate that you can't even define? Gee, guys, what's a woman? So Gab, Telegram are the new emergent zones for free speech. On Gab, they meme them till they glow, then they shoot them in the dark. The meme had some hot words that YouTube is not cool with, but it mentioned why abortion is so sacred to them. Why it is a satanic value to sacrifice a baby to Moloch. Blood for Lucifer, blood for their Lord of the Flies. It's like they have the thinnest veneer of civilization, just a thin, delicate porcelain mask they wear. It's like, what was that book about the time travelers? They're taking bodies from fake accidents. I have it on the Millennial. It's a great book. They made it into a movie in the 70s. The exterior is clean and shiny, but under the mask is this black hole of Cthulhu's nightmare. These filthy parasites that feed with a voracious appetite. They're like entropy, like Mother Nature's joke to ever keep man from colonizing the galaxy, or Satan to balance God. These worms keep us on Earth grubbing in the dirt, fighting for shiny plastic poison. So why these bloodthirsty harpies on Twitter, who, to be honest, are past the sell-by date? They're past the point of having kids anyway, are really worried about them. Why they're so outraged by the Texas situation? And even getting beyond the anthropomorphic Lucifer, the cloven-hoofed man in a red suit, or I guess nowadays he'd be wearing a clown suit. It's more the representation of decay, filth, genocide, the anti-life equation, a regression to the Stone Age, a subversion of man's ascendance to the stars, to spread life beyond Earth, to terraform other planets. I just want my alien waifu. It's a representation of everything that opposes that. It's not just Coyote Lucifer doing small-scale trickster evil here and there, and Aztec child sacrifice, or Bette Midler advocating to literally kill babies. It's propagating evil into an ordered system where abortions are celebrated, where single obese girls proudly slut-walk and brag about deleting babies. It's creating a mixed, rootless collection of debt slaves who worship the media, who love the women's magazines that literally could have been shipped from hell, written by demons. Oh, hey, a woman's magazine with a 95% European female base is telling white girls to have multiple sex partners, destroy pair bonding, don't have kids, or at least have mixed ones for the sake of diversity, which is our strength, by the way, hashtag. Or put off kids till you're 40, because your sexual marketplace value is, don't get me wrong, I think MGTOW is evil. It's a whole nother video, but for BitChute. But that is a good term to think of, like sexual marketplace value. Well, at 18, it's different than 38. That's just a number on the biological chart. So it's a woman's magazine with a predominantly European audience advocating low or no birth rates for the beautiful blonde women of the light. So who owns those magazines and the publisher? Like, who are these people? Nobody ever seems to ask that question and ask who benefits, which if I remember the Latin I would use, but I don't. And no one ever seems to ask these questions and like, just dig a little bit deeper. But if you get on Gab and Telegram, in a month, you'll be there. So on the hierarchy of evil acts, crushing out the spark, the tiny galaxy of atoms that is the precious fertilized egg. Even if you want to toss Christianity out the window, fine, no problem. We don't need to argue from a Christian perspective. Get rid of it. Look at it from a scientist's perspective. Before the moment of conception, there is potential human life. After that spark, it's actual realized life. There is a hard line in reality, in the arrow of space-time, from potential to realized. It's conception. There is no point prior to that you may. It's all nebulous. You can't put a point on a line before that. Notice, and I'm not arguing that you should or shouldn't do anything. I'm just arguing the science of it. I could be pro-abortion and still say that life begins at conception. If you want to kill innocent humans, you can make your argument, but at least be honest in your argument, or you undermine your credibility. You can make the argument that your god, Moloch, requires the sacrifice of the most pure, innocent human life, a child, or make a secular one. But you're building a castle on shifting sand to argue the science of conception. You have to concede weak arguments to win on strong arguments. And really, I don't know what your strong argument would be, like even from a 14th Amendment perspective. It seems 14th Amendment seems to favor pro-life. In fact, most arguments from like even building society favor pro-life. You know, I think your strongest argument would be a religious argument if you're a Satanist or there's some other religions that advocate abortion. I can't name them on YouTube. But you also might be able to argue that a parent can abort their child up to age 18, which is the slippery slope, but it's not a fallacy. If you're arguing, if the nucleus of your argument is such, then you may propagate it and extrapolate it to, oh, you can kill children or adults. Or that the state may abort people under a certain IQ. Or if they get arrested more than 3 times, they're a detriment to society. We can just reuse their organs, perhaps. We must feed the greater good. I mean, to keep it real with you, abortion has its advocates among the based community as well among the globalists. It just for different reasons. I think Stone Toss had a cartoon about it. Again, can't show it on YouTube. Hollywood is so divergent from normal life-affirming people. That's vaguely how I kind of define it. It's like if you want to toss religion out the window, you want to toss nationalism versus globalism out the window, you want to toss everything out the window, I kind of think it's like an arrow of life-affirming ascending to the stars and all arrows away from that. The people in the industry, these are biblically evil lizard people who want what they're advocating for. I think this is cool for YouTube, but hey, we'll find out. Go to Odysee, join the channel, get a shiny little icon, go to BitChute, go to Gab, Telegram, support me on Coffee Bill, Patreon, or with crypto, but let me know if you support, because the crypto is anonymous, and I will thank you.